Think of Brazil, and Rio de Janeiro is likely to be the first place that comes to your mind. Tell your friends you're going, and you're sure to be met with jealous looks and sighs of longing. This is a seriously beautiful city, home to endless postcard-like views and to more sights than you could ever pack into a single stay. All around Rio, spectacular forest-covered peaks, known as morros, tower over neighborhoods like giants, giving the city a unique topography. With natural reserves like the Tijuca National Park covering around 35% of its land area, Rio takes the concept of urban jungle to a whole new level. Whether it is lounging on one of the city's huge beaches or hiking one of its many nature trails, Rio is best enjoyed outdoors. Cariocas know this well, and they're quite the active bunch. You can see them biking, jogging, and exercising pretty much all day long by the beach or around the lagoa, no matter how hot it might be outside. And the beach is the first place I go on my visit, Copacabana to be exact. Its lively 4-kilometer promenade, clad in a black and white mosaic famous for its wavy pattern, is stepped on every day by a colorful mix of sunburned tourists, street vendors, and pickpockets. Much of the area is looking a bit tired these days, reminding me that Copacabana's heyday in the 1950s, embodied by grand buildings like the Copacabana Palace Hotel, is a distant memory. This is no longer the playground of jet-setters, and the glitz and swank have now moved west to Ipanema and Leblon. Between Copacabana and Ipanema, I make 2 stops on my stroll. The first one is Fort Copacabana. The military base is open to the public and is really quite interesting. It was built at the beginning of the 20th century to protect the entrance to Rio's harbor, and its armored cupolas are quite the engineering feat. The massive Krupp guns built into the concrete can fire shells of almost half a ton a distance of over 20 kilometers. My second stop is the Pedra do Arpoador, a large rock jutting into the bay that is fun to explore and that's one of the best spots to admire the long stretch of sand of Ipanema. Like much of the city, the place is full of tourists. This is my first visit to Rio during the summertime, and man do I miss the winter, when checking out the famous sights doesn't turn into a nightmarish experience. The pão de açúcar, sugar loaf in English, is a symbol of Rio, and with its unique shape, one of the most recognizable mountains in the world. You simply cannot come to Rio and not take the bondinho up to the top. I promise, the views will make you fall in love with this city instantly. Just avoid summer weekends if you don't want to line up for hours and share the place with what feels like millions of people. The same goes for the Corcovado, the 700-meter granite peak with the world-famous statue of Christ the Redeemer on top. As you can see, my attempt to avoid the crowds by hopping on the first morning train up is completely futile. Once I elbow my way to the front though, I get to see all of Rio and the Bay of Guanabara all around it. The famous sights are great, but I enjoy much more exploring places I haven't seen before, like the pretty Largo do Boticario, a 5-minute walk from the Corcovado train station in Cosme Velho, and the extraordinary Parque Lage, at the foot of Corcovado. Here, I get to see playful monkeys and incredible trees and flowers, with a stunning view of the Christ in the background. In the middle of the park, there is a popular cafe housed in a former mansion that is now an art school. But I'm not ready to brave the line just for an Instagram shot. Parque Lage is an oasis of peace in the middle of this chaotic metropolis, and my new favorite place in Rio. To enjoy some of the best the city has to offer, make sure you go for a walk around Centro, but be careful. Despite these being popular spots for tourists and the heart of the city's nightlife, the sense of danger here is palpable, especially around the famous arches of Lapa. In Centro, don't miss the Royal Portuguese Cabinet of Reading, with its impressive collection of over 350,000 volumes kept in the wooden bookcases of its palatial reading room, the largest collection of Portuguese works outside of Portugal. Steps away from Lapa is the popular Escadaria Celarón, the bizarre 215-step staircase that is essentially a quirky love letter to Brazil by Chilean artist Jorge Celarón. The stairs are covered in thousands of colorful tiles, many of which were donated by visitors from all over the world. On top of the staircase, panting, I reached the lovely bohemian neighborhood of Santa Teresa, with its unique streets, craft shops, and inspiring views of the city. But it's not all carnival, sunshine, and samba. Rio de Janeiro is also a city full of contrasts, where crime is a serious concern and where the rich and poor live shoulder to shoulder. Around a quarter of the city's population lives in favelas, of which Rio has over 1,000. They're right next to middle-class neighborhoods and luxury apartments, and they're very easy to see. Just look for the thousands of tiny and decrepit brick houses clinging to the city's hillsides. Some favelas are safer than others, like Vidigal, which I crossed on my last day in Rio to reach the starting point of the trail leading to the top of the iconic Morro Dois Irmãos. I wouldn't want to come to Rio and, again, not go on one of its famous hikes. The steep 45-minute walk up the Morro is very peaceful and offers beautiful views of Pedra da Gávea and the gigantic favela of Rocinha, the largest in South America. Surrounded by the thick vegetation of the Atlantic forest, known as Mata Atlântica in Portuguese, I almost forget I'm in the very heart of a city of 12 million people. In super green Rio, it's also easy to forget that this forest, which extends for thousands of kilometers along most of the country's Atlantic coast and reaches inland as far as Paraguay and northern Argentina, is one of the most endangered ecosystems in the world. In Brazil, only 12% of it survives. It is a very hot day, and by the time I reach the summit of the Dois Irmãos, I'm completely beat and soaking wet, but the views make it all worth it. And speaking of views, try to fly out of Rio's Santos Dumont Airport and pick a seat on the right side of the plane. I will never forget my takeoff from Santos Dumont, an amazing way to bid farewell to the Cidade Maravilhosa, the wonderful city. It might have many problems, but sexy, captivating Rio will always have a very special place in my heart. Rio, eu amo você.